Hi guys, it's album review time. We've got Knights of the Realm and Darker Than Leather. This is a Swedish heavy metal band. This album's coming out on the 24th of May on Playground Music. Thank you so much to the band for sending me this album early. I really do appreciate that whenever that happens. So what do we get from this band? This is their second album. It's got 11 tracks. For fans of, let's start with for fans of. That's the easiest way to get people's attention. They've honed in their influences very well, and this band make no secret of what their influences are. In the lead up to this album, they've mentioned Priest, Dio. I can hear a lot of Dokken influence in there as well, and there's a definite new wave of British heavy metal feel throughout this album. And this band has one of my favourite guitarists ever. You know, so underrated. One of the best guitarists out there is Magnus Henriksson from Eclipse and Wet. I mean, he's all over this album. This is like Magnus having real fun with this. I mean, I wouldn't say it's heavier than Eclipse. It's a different sort of style of music, but Eclipse can get quite heavy. So I'm sure when he plays with Eclipse, he gets that injection of heaviness that he likes. But this is a different sort of stuff. You know, like I said, the bands I mentioned before, classic metal this is, guys. You can imagine with Magnus being at the helm of the guitar, there's guitar all over this, there's riffing, there's chugging, there's loads of guitar melodies, Judas Priest-esque, Maiden-esque. He's having a lot of fun on this album, you can tell. Then you've got Lars Skuld on the drums and Mats Rydström on the bass. Just a brilliant thumping, tight rhythm section. I believe Mats Rydström is the only new addition since the debut album. And then you got Marcus von Boisman on the vocal. It's just a great vocal, man. It just fits really well with this straight up heavy metal sort of sound. He's got power, he's got melody. He does a brilliant job like he did throughout the debut album. This is definitely a step up from the debut album. I love the debut album. It's a lot of fun. I feel there's a slightly darker tone with this album compared to the debut album. And this band as well, I mean, it was on the debut, it's on this as well, but they have a lot of fun, especially lyrically. They hone in on that classic British heavy metal feel, and some of it's a little bit light-hearted, but I would say a darker tone this time, especially light-hearted at the beginning of the album, which I'll get onto in a minute when we go through the tracks. But some of this album has some darker themes, I would say, and it feels a little bit more serious than the debut album. And one thing that, for me, it makes it even stronger than that great debut album is it has more of an epic feel, especially on some tracks, and they are my favourite tracks. So if you love the Knights of the Realm debut album, you're going to love this. In fact, you're probably going to love it a little bit more. It feels like the band, songwriting-wise especially, have hone their skills together a little bit more. And there's some huge hooks on here. There's some huge choruses. There's some real heavy moments. I had so much fun listening to this album. I'm sure you guys will as well. Let's run through some of my favourite tracks on this album. So you got the first song, Hell Can Wait. This was a single. It's like a demonic laugh, and a classic metal riff sort of kicks this track off. This really mixes the band's true metal sound and also takes some influence, and it obviously will, from Magnus's main band Eclipse. It feels like it's got those elements as well. They have their tongue firmly planted in their cheeks with lyrics about wearing black and the power of metal. It's so much fun. But don't let those fun lyrics fool you. This is musically serious with some cool riffing, delicious melodic guitar heroics, a thumping rhythm section, and hooks galore. Killer Machine is the next track I want to talk about. Another single, a stomping track. This was the first single that was released. It's a medium paced metal track that hits so fucking hard. Their Priest influence is definitely shining strong here in this track. A cool, almost sort of like power metal chorus, I would say. Magnus really having fun here with some guitar heroics throughout. It's like a sort of some of it reminds me of like a slower Painkiller vibe running through it. Fast cars and metal. Such fucking fun. And then we move on to the next track. This is track 3. It's called Burn. So the band pick up pace with a medium to fast paced track. This hits so fucking hard, this track, as the band sort of hit that classic metal groove. The chorus vocal melody is so catchy, and Marcus's brilliant vocal work sort of works perfectly with Magnus Henriksson weaving guitar work at the same time. You know what, the singles, which were the first two tracks, were really brilliant, but this is proof that there are tracks as good, if not better, on this album, and there's loads to come as well. The Dark is the next track. This is like a ballad. Quite a heavy ballad, a bit of a reprieve from the sort of heaviness of the first three tracks though. Acoustic guitar and vocals in an almost epic Dio feel start this one off, and those epic feels carry on when the band crash in heavy as well. It's a huge soaring ballad that is really dynamic in nature, lyrically and musically. A very cool song and an amazing performance by Marcus on vocals. Another Kind of Thunder is the next track I want to talk about. This is a fast track, and the band put the pedal to the metal. Probably the fastest track on the album, actually. It's really guitar heavy as Magnus chugs, and then he riffs. He's all over this track. The chorus is really addictive with some cool backing vocals, adding some real richness to it. Really love the Helloween-esque solo as well from Magnus on this track. Love Hunter is the next track. One of my favourite tracks on the album, and what a riff. Immediately got my attention. It started again. I feel the Eclipse sound in this track a little bit, especially the main riff. It's a massive track, man. This is a brilliant track that is clearly a favourite of mine. You know, I've heard this album twice now, and this one really stands out. It's heavy, it's melodic, it's performed so fucking well. An excellent song. Turn Off the Lights is the next track I want to talk about, and it's classic riff after classic riff. This has an excellent minor riff that almost has a classic Dokken feel as well. I love the vocal melody lines in this, in the verses and in the chorus bridge, as they just weave their way to another brilliant hooky chorus. Magnus just knocks out an excellent solo on this one. It sounds like he has like this effect on his guitar that gives almost a neo-classical feel, like a warmth to the tone. Amazing. Aim and Kill is the next track. You want heavy? You fucking got it. The bass really sort of pops here as like a dark metal riff sort of drives through this track. It's a thumping and stomping track that almost has a cool classic metal chorus with like a gang vocal. I hear some sort of classic Accept, I would say, influence coming through on this song. It's a great medium paced metal track, sort of to bang your head to. Well, you could bang your head to all of these tracks on this album. Stand Up, Stand Tall. Man, what a song. Shades of classic Dokken again, I would say, in another standout track for me. Another brilliant minor key riff that just adds that darker feel to the track. It's a major highlight for me on an album that is so strong as well. Marcus's vocals on this, man, they're so good throughout, but particularly on this track, he sings with such emotion in his vocals. Henriksson playing just how you would actually want George Lynch to play now. I mean, you know, I'm not a dig on George Lynch, but man, I miss the way he sounded. And we get a little taste of that here with Magnus Henriksson. The next track I want to talk about is Mean Machine. So we're at track 10 now. You would think that there would be sort of a dip in quality at this sort of stage of the album. Usually the back half. Definitely not the case, man, as I hit you with another classic metal riff. Priest style, I would say, on this track. It's stomping, it's classic, it's fun, and it's fucking cool. And the last track is Power of Evil. And what a track it is. The last track is another standout. They hit with their most epic sort of Sabbath Dio style here. Beautifully paced, brilliantly written. This is where Knights of the Realm, for me, hit hardest. A really sort of apt song to end this brilliant release. An excellent follow-up to the debut. And I would say this is really strong throughout, but my standout tracks are Love Hunter, Stand Up, Stand Tall, and Power of Evil. Outstanding tracks in a fucking brilliant album. So guys, I know a few people have been looking forward to this album. It does not disappoint. It's stronger than a brilliant debut, which is, you know, that's what you should have. You should have a step up. And it's definitely that. Knights of the Realm, Darker Than Leather, coming out on the 24th of May. Only just under a week to go. Let me know if you're going to get it in the comments below, and I'll see you soon.